Hello, good day, viewers. We have an interesting question on permutation that was sent in from one of our followers for it to be solved. So the question reads: if 3 open brackets n permutation 2 plus 24 close brackets is equals to 2n permutation 2, we are required to find the positive value of n. So this question is under permutation. So let's begin. So we have 3 open brackets n permutation 2 plus 24 close brackets is equals to 2n permutation 2. Recall the formula for permutation where we have n permutation r. This is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial. This is the formula for permutation. So let's work with what we have first in the bracket. We have n permutation 2. So we're going to simplify n permutation 2, and also we're going to simplify 2n permutation 2. So let's begin with the first one here, which is n permutation 2. So for n permutation 2, in this case, the value of n is still equals to n, while the value of r is equals to 2. So this becomes n permutation. Since the n here, the n is still the n, then the r is the 2. So this becomes n permutation 2 is equal to n factorial over n minus 2 factorial. Okay, so n factorial here is the same thing as saying n open bracket n minus 1 n minus 2 factorial. Okay, all over what we have at the denominator here, which is n minus 2 factorial. So looking at this, n minus 2 factorial cancels out the n minus 2 factorial denominator, okay? So what we are left with is n open bracket n minus 1. So expanding this becomes n multiplied by n is n squared minus n multiplied by 1 is n. So meaning that n permutation 2 has been simplified to become n squared minus n. So we'll move on to the other one, which is the 2n permutation 2. So in this case, the value of n is 2n, while the value of r is equals to 2. So using the same formula for permutation, this becomes 2n factorial all over 2n minus 2 factorial, where the 2n here is the n and the 2 here represents the r. So let's simplify this. 2n factorial means 2n open bracket 2n minus 1 2n minus 2 factorial. So all divided by what we have at the denominator here, which is 2n minus 2 factorial. So at this point, 2n minus 2 factorial cancels out 2n minus 2 factorial. So what we are left with is 2n open bracket 2n minus 1. So let's expand this bracket here. 2n times 2n here gives us 4n squared minus 2n times 1 is 2n. So what this means is what? When we simplify 2n permutation 2, it gives us 4n squared minus 2. Okay, so at this point, what we need to do now is to substitute the values we have here. So we're going to substitute this value here, 2n squared minus n, and also 4n squared minus 2n into the expression. So let's continue. So now this now becomes 3 open brackets n permutation 2 is now n squared minus n. Okay, then we have plus, we have 24 here equal to, then 2n permutation 2 is now 4n squared minus 2n. So here we have 4n squared minus 2n. This 3 here affects everything we have in the bracket. So 3 times n squared is 3n squared minus 3 times n is 3n, then plus 3 times 24 gives us 72 equals to 4n squared minus 2n. So let's collect like terms. So if you collect like terms at this point, we're going to have 4n squared, then minus this 3n squared goes to the other side because minus 3n squared, then minus 2n, minus 3n crosses over becomes plus 3n, then 72 crosses over to the other side becomes minus 72. So we equate this to be equals to 0. Okay, so that we have an equation. So this is going to lead us to a quadratic equation. So 4n square minus 3n square, here we have n square minus 2n plus 3n, we have plus n minus 72 equals to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. We can use the factorization method, we can use the formula method, or use the completing the square method to get the value for n. Okay, so for the purpose of this class, I'm going to use the factorization method. So the coefficients of the first term and last term, we multiply them together. This is quadratic equation and meter, a topic on its own, which I've explained in my previous class. So you can scroll through the page to check for quadratic equation, where I explain how to solve problems using using the factorization method. Okay, so here we have 1 and 72. So I'm going to use 8 and 9 are two factors of 72, because 1 times 72 will give me 72, right? So two factors of 72, we have 8 and 9. So I can use 8 and 9 to get the middle term here, which is 1. Okay. So if I say minus 8 n plus 9n, that will give me n. Okay. So I'm going to substitute these two, standing for the n. So this becomes n squared minus 8n plus 9n minus 72 is equals to 0. So I'll take the first two terms and the last two terms and put them in a bracket and get the common factors. So here I'm going to, the common factor here is n. So if you factorize n from n squared, we're going to have n minus. When we factorize n from 8n, we have 8. Then here we have minus. Okay, we have a plus here. Then the common factor here is 9. When we factorize 9 from 9n, we have n. Then plus times minus here is minus. When we factorize 9 from 72, we have 8. So this is equals to 0. So here we have in the brackets n minus 8 and n minus 8. So pick them as 1. So we have n minus 8 equals to 0. So that means n is equals to 0 plus 8. So n is equals to 8. So this is the first answer we have. Then the next one, we pick the factors outside the brackets, which is n plus 9 also equals to 0. So this means n is equals to 0 minus 9, where n is equals to negative 9. So we have two answers here, as n equals to 8 and n equals to negative 9. But the question says we should find the positive value of n. So that means the positive value of n is 8. Okay. So at the end of the answer of the solution, we can say the positive value of n is equal to 8. So this is the final answer. So to the follower that sent in this question, I hope I've explained this to the best of my ability. All right. So see you in the next class, viewers. If you have any question, kindly drop the questions in the comment section. I will pick it up from there. I remain your tutor, Aisha Bende. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.